Hello there and good day. Thank you so much for joining me at Dystopian Report, the place where we talk about the nightmare world we found ourselves living in. I'm your host, Jesse Pullman, and today is Saturday, September 6th, 2025. It's about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Daily Time, or whatever time it happens to be. I don't know. Today we're talking about a Truth Social post, what's in a name, and what to do when the other side ratchets up the hyperbole. We've talked before on this channel about Trump sending militarized forces into American cities, specifically Los Angeles. I didn't make a video about the actions in Washington, D.C. because that specific through line has basically been followed. The National Guard has been reduced to tending to trash pickup duty. Additionally, there are constitutional hiccups that render D.C. relatively powerless, as they are more or less a subsidiary of the federal government. Anyway, they should be a state, but they should be a state. Wandering into those weeds seemed more like a way to get lost in technical details than it seemed a way to actually argue against authoritarianism. Furthermore, we've all been waiting for the next shoe to drop. Trump's been talking about sending troops elsewhere, so we've known roughly his next move was to repeat his past ones. The only questions remaining were where. Well, Trump's announced it, or rather, and I say this with no hyperbole, he's declared war on the city of Chicago. But is it that simple? Not necessarily, but it's not far off either. See, earlier this week, Trump declared an end to the Department of Defense. He's trying to rename it to the Department of War, which is his World War II and prior era name. Now, I'm pretty sure Congress is in charge of naming these things, but if Congress bends over so willingly to Trump all the time anyway, I don't see what the point is, and I don't know if there's anything that can be done to stop us from wasting billions of dollars renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War. I don't know. But today, he stated on his social media site that he is unleashing the military on Chicago. I don't have Truth Social, so we'll have to rely on Zateo News founder Mehdi Hassan's reporting here. Forgive me as I keep my script open because I'm just reading the image real quick, then going back to the script. So I'm not going to be looking directly at this image. I'm looking at it through my thing. So this is a Blue Sky post from Mehdi Hassan. It's him quoting Trump's post on Truth Social where it's Donald J. Trump. He says, quote, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning," unquote. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War, all caps, with 3 helicopters, and then a picture of Trump in a cowboy hat with the word Chipocalypse Now, and helicopters. Yeah, I slop, obviously. It's helicopters flying over Chicago, and Mehdi Hassan says, President of the United States just declared war, actual military war, not a metaphorical one, on a major American city and one governed by his political opponents. In any other period, this would be impeachment worthy. And yes, it certainly would be impeachment worthy. But again, Congress bends over for Trump on a regular basis. So what do we expect to happen? Well, it's pretty clear Mehdi is right in his analysis. Trump is openly declaring he will use a department dedicated specifically and recently to war against an American city. It's not defense, it's war. Now, the FBI put out a top 10 list of violent cities, and only 2 of the 10 are in blue states, but that doesn't matter to Trump. His post gets to his insinuations. He wants to use the military to ethnically cleanse Chicago. Think about how he talked about deportations as connected to defense, or rather war. It's a war against brown people. That's what this is. It's an ethnic cleansing. To notice the change in topic, yeah, it's not a defense. It's a war, which is fought at the barrel of a gun. Now, instead of this being framed as Chicago's salvation or defense, it's quite literally Chipocalypse Now. It should be Chicagopocalypse, but that's just Trump sucking at his PR. If you asked me if I thought anything would be fundamentally different with this deployment, I'd say probably not. It'll probably be just like LA and DC. It'll be fought in court, although I'd argue that the Illinois National Guard should be called up to resist this invasion, as it's my understanding, based on news reporting I've read, that it's the Texas National Guard being tapped to undertake this task, making this a literal act of war between states. So that's bad. But it'll be fought in court, and we'll see what happens in court. I mean, recently Trump lost in LA. Hegseth was accused of violating posse comitatus, which of course he is. And so that's a thing. But where do we go from here? I honestly don't know. There's going to be a round of No Kings protests on Saturday, October 18th, so mark your calendars for that. There's pressuring your Congress people as always, but many of them simply do not care what you say, especially the Republican ones. They see this as their one best chance to grab power for life, and they've decided that they rule you, not represent you. Otherwise, there is no faith of what we make. Whatever we do, let's make the best fate we can for our children, even if it won't be the best for us. And that's not really what you want to hear. I know you'd rather hear me say that there are things we can do to stop this. But short of protesting, I mean, if you're in Chicago, you can do something about it. But what you do about it is up to you. And I would suggest you stay safe and don't hurt anybody. But also protest. That's about all you can do. That's all we have left. And protest is just a peaceful way of standing out there and saying, hey, we're fighting this. And our rules of engagement are peaceful protest. Don't make us change to non-peaceful protest, because that's what happens when you drive out the center with police action, which often happens. Hopefully Chicago won't do that. But I've seen LA do that. I've seen DC do that in the 2020 protest movement. So I don't know. I really don't know. But when the Department of War, specifically war, I believe yesterday they renamed it war, is levied against an American city, that's a civil war. That's insane. And unless something is done to stop Trump from doing this, and I doubt something will be because Congress is in the hands of Republicans, this is going to be ugly. And it may be the start of something larger. It may not. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, I want to thank you all so much for joining me. If you appreciate this episode, if it gave you some insight, please do hit the like, share, subscribe, friend, follow, or whatever buttons. It really does help the channel grow. It lets me know what you're watching so I can keep making more of it. I really do appreciate it from the very bottom of my heart. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year. We've kind of stopped gaining subscribers, so please do subscribe. Thank you all so much for joining me, and as always on this channel, peace.